I'm Carl from Diabolical, and you are watching Loud TV. Right, he's the new drummer. Yeah, we've been playing with him for almost a year now, and feels great. I think he's really stable, really tight, a really skilled drummer, really good musician. So I feel very comfortable playing with him, and he's a great guy. So it's great to have him here on tour. 6 years since we released our previous full-length album, which was Neogenesis, and after that, in 2016, we released an EP, which was called Umbra. We've been touring throughout these years as well, so I wouldn't call it absence, but yeah, it's been it was a long time between the full-length albums. That I can agree on, and we like to do things in a very, very precise manner, the way we want it. We want to be very, very have a really, really high bar on what we do, and we think that great art needs to take not a great amount of time, but you need to let great art take time to mature, not just rush into the studio and just, we need an album now, which seems to be the trend nowadays, that bands record albums really fast. We don't really believe in it, even if it's not maybe the smartest move nowadays when things need to take a long time, but we might try to improve on our really long time between albums. Our vocalist Sverker, he has been producing our albums for a long time now. He has a studio in Stockholm named Wing Studios, which is pretty much our headquarters, where we spend countless hours, days and nights, which we did when we recorded Eclipse. And he has I think me and him, over the years, we've found a really good way to work with each other, and I think we are so stable now that we know exactly what the other person can contribute with, and we listen to each other and trust each other's opinions in the studio, and we almost always agree on things, actually. So we have a really smooth working relationship. I don't know if I want to say how much time we spent on this album, but it's like it's a stupid amount of time we spent. The album project was, at some point, we had reached 500 channels. So it was a monstrous project to work through. But it was worth it, because I'm really happy with the result. So we spent an insane amount of time on this album. But I think it was all worth it. I think both me and Sverker are like that. We're not too much, but we are very perfectionist with what we do. And that's also maybe doesn't fit well into the spirit of the times, that things have to be really, really fast. We can sit especially when we do pre-production, we can sit with like a riff for a part that's like maybe a few seconds long, and really try to figure out exactly, because we feel, okay, this is not 100%. Then we spend a few hours on like an afternoon on that entire small segment, just to be sure that we don't leave anything like, it's okay. We want this to be great, so we take the time and make it great. When I'm sitting there with 500 channels in the studio and like trying to do things, it's like, man, I wish we were playing like grindcore punk or something. But I think that's great that you think so. I think that's what I want to achieve. I want to bring people into our world, into another world. I think that the best music takes you places within your mind, and that's actually one of my main goals when I make music, is that I want to achieve that. And you also mentioned diversity. That's also something I'm striving for all the time with the songs. I don't want an album to feel like you have the same kind of energy level throughout the entire thing. I want to have some parts or some songs have really much higher energy, and some other songs, for example, Failure is one of those songs on this album which is one of the most intensive songs, and then you have slower songs or more groovier songs, like for example Betrayal, or even non-metal songs like Tyranny, which is more atmospheric, sort of Dead Can Dance inspired track that really brings the tempo down, or the energy of the album down, and then so that you keep the listener interested throughout the entire thing. So it's not just like a long sausage of the same thing. On Eclipse, I don't think that in some ways maybe a slightly esoteric, but what we wanted to do with this album was more to be very direct and more explicit with the meanings of our songs, of our lyrics, because I think on Neogenesis we went much more the esoteric route when I wrote the book which was a short novel where every chapter was connected to each song of the album, and that was much more philosophical and esoteric in a way. We still have a hint of that on Eclipse, but also I think we have much more direct messaging with the lyrics this time. So it's up to the listener to interpret, as always, but I really hope that the lyrics will have an impression on people. I think my first thought is that I'm mostly inspired by nature. I walk in the nature a lot to find inspiration. Whenever I lack inspiration, I go out into the forest or the mountains, or walk around the lake where I live. I usually get my best ideas there, or when I meditate also. But of course, culture is influencing us all the time, what we see and hear around us. It's inevitable. You can't, unless you live on a deserted island somewhere, you're bound to be influenced by the things you see and hear around you. And in a way, Eclipse is, at least thematically and lyric-wise, it is very inspired by the current culture in the state of the world, really. Okay. But musically, I like to draw my main inspiration from nature.